What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Bandwidth Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. Today I'm talking with Simon Oslender, and I'll just say up front, the first time I heard him play, I felt energized in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time. There's a lot of joy in his sound, but it's not surface level, it's grounded, it's honest, and it's deeply rooted in groove. In the conversation, we talk about Simon's musical upbringing, starting on drums and then the moment a John Mayall live DVD and Tom Canning on B3 basically changed his entire life path. We also get into how he writes and records, his relationship with theory, and how he thinks about emotion versus analysis. And then we go inside All That Matters, what it was like recording with Steve Gadd and Will Lee, how that session turned into a tour, and how you keep your confidence when legends show up ready to serve your music. I love this conversation, and I know you will too. So let's get into it. Here's Simon Oslender. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I seeked you out and wanted to chat with you. I will tell you that I have not been more energized by a musician in a long time as I was when I first heard your music, and just the joy and energy with which you play it. It's really, really, really fun to listen to you play.
Oh, thank you so much, man. That means a whole lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, it's as I know a lot of my listeners are. I gravitate towards players, singers that come from a place of honesty, and I can tell and sense the honesty and sincerity by which you write, perform, and compose your music. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. That's always my goal, of course, but I myself, I can't really tell if so that's beautiful to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And if looking at my notes here, you're 27. Is that how old you are?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. You've managed to accomplish a lot musically and professionally in such a short amount of time, and are just continuing to do things. How do you view your career so far, that what all you've done and who you've managed to perform with so early on in your career?
Well, I really have to pinch myself pretty much every day, because I'm doing the stuff that I always dreamed of as a kid. And I always wanted to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is beautiful, and that's a great situation to be in. And I'm just incredibly thankful for all the people and all the situations and all the luck and all of that got me to this point. And I think if I would tell my 5-year-old self what was happening right now, he would be pretty
blown away with it. Yeah. Yeah. So looks like you come from a musical family, right? Mom
true.
And dad players or singers.
Absolutely. My dad plays the drums and a little bit of guitar and keys, and he's got great ears. He's one of these. He's not a professional musician, but he has an incredible feel, and as I said, great ears. He can just hear any melody and just go to an instrument and play it. So he's really musical. He's always had great musical taste, really broad taste. So I grew up with all kinds of music, and that kind of nurtured my love for all different kinds of music. And my mom, she used to play guitar and electric bass in a high school band, and she sings a lot. And they're both not professional musicians, but incredibly musical people, and they just love all kinds of music. So there was always music in the house when I grew up. Even before I was born, actually, my mom we had a little toy at home that had like a stuffed animal that had a music box inside that would play an old German lullaby, beautiful song, but just a tiny little melody. And my parents would put it on mom's belly, when she was pregnant with me. And I really have to say, whenever I hear this melody, we still have that toy. Whenever I hear that, I break into tears because it's so it's really emotional. So I think in some way I can maybe remember even though I wasn't born at that point. But so there was always music, and my parents would show me music. They would play music with me. They would always encourage whatever I wanted to do. All kinds of instruments I wanted to try. And the first thing I was fascinated by was the drums. Drums were my first instrument, and my dad always had a drum kit at home, so I was fascinated by that, and especially the bass drum was really interesting to me. I love that warm, full bass tone. And so my parents, or I somehow managed to tell them that I would love a bass drum for Christmas when I was 2 years old. And so they gave me a little like kid's bass drum, and for every holiday, for birthdays, Christmas, and all of that, they would give me one more piece. So after a few years, I had a whole drum kit. So that got me started.
That's great. So many things about that how important and how incredible to have that support system from the beginning, even before you arrived.
That's right.
On the scene, that your family was already pouring the influence into you, that music was around and that you were hearing it.
Yes.
And also I believe that every musician should have an understanding and maybe a little bit of a framework of how drums work, because how much it's the building block of everything that we do. So how wonderful that you kind of started there.
Absolutely. And I mean, as you said, I recommend it to everybody to at least spend a little bit of time with the drums, and because that's the groove is the foundation of everything that we do. Not just music, even pretty much everything in life has to do with rhythm. And so it's a good thing to spend some time with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when did you? I read that you heard was it a John Mayall album?
That's right.
That kind of sparked that, like, oh, okay, I love this. What was that big bang moment like for you?
Yeah, that was the moment that when I really knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life at 5 years old, which is crazy. But I remember that moment. It was when my dad came home with a DVD back then of a John Mayall live concert, and fantastic band, of course, great players all around. It was a birthday concert, so there were some special guests. There was Mick Taylor, Eric Clapton, and other great players. But the one I was most focused on was Tom Kenning on the Hammond B3 organ.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, and I only later found out that he was, an incredible session musician in LA, and he did all these great things with El Giro, and I didn't know about any of that at that point. But he was playing B3 on that DVD, and I didn't know what that instrument was. I had never seen it before. Probably heard it on some other records, but I didn't really know about it. But it just it really fascinated me, and I was instantly hooked. The first, there's one solo in particular on that record, a slow blues, and Tom Kenning just goes for it and really plays an incredible, to me, the perfect blues Hammond organ performance. and that really, that was it. When I heard that and saw that, and he was also such a cool, friendly looking guy, and he just, the whole, everything about him and the instrument just really, really got to me and
Yeah.
moved me. And so, yeah, that's it. From that point on, my main focus in my childhood at that point was the Hammond organ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's such an expressive. I mean, there's so many elements to that instrument that I love, that it can
yeah,
be such an expressive, such a lyrical instrument, but also can be so rhythmic.
right,
And yeah, you and what I love about great organ players like yourself is that you can have such a unique musical identity behind the instrument, and all of the
yeah,
greatest players on that instrument seem to have such a fingerprint of the way that they play on that instrument.
totally, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who else were you listening to? What were your musical tastes as you were developing as a player? Because I know you did some classical training as well, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I now I wish I would have paid more attention to that, actually, because back then it was just the typical, okay, the kids got musical interest. Let's start with some classical piano lessons. Perfect. Exactly the right thing to do. But I think I was maybe 8 years old when I started taking these lessons. I wasn't that interested in classical music. I wanted to play blues and soul and jazz and all of that.
Mm.
But now looking back, I should have really spent some more time on the classical music, because I only later I realized how much beauty and everything comes from that. It's
Yeah.
incredible. But well, still fantastic lessons, great teacher, and it really, a lot of that is still very important to me. I learned so many important lessons there. Um, but at home, we were listening to mostly, at that time, a lot of blues, classic rock records, some folk music maybe, but mostly blues oriented stuff, which I'm very, very grateful for, because I think the blues is the perfect foundation for any player that wants to go into the, I don't know, pop, jazz, soul, whatever universe. Uh, I think Will Lee said it a couple times on our last tour. He said the blues is the universal language. You can go anywhere in the world and you'll find people who you can connect with based on the blues. Which is true for a lot of kinds of music, but the blues is really the DNA of so much of the stuff that we love and we listen to. And well, then I, of course, I was interested in jazz, and that kind of happened through the Hammond organ, because of course when I got to know that instrument, I got to know a lot of the fantastic jazz players, starting with Jimmy Smith, Dr. Lonnie Smith, Jimmy McGriff, Jack McDuff, all these incredible players, and Joe DiFrancesco, Larry Goldings, list goes on and on and on. And I met one of my best friends, Jerome Cardinals. He's a fantastic drummer from the Netherlands, and we've been playing together for, I think, 17 years now or something
Oh
like that.
wow.
So we started out doing gigs together as a organ and drums duo when we were like 12 and 14. And he had a different kind of different background, because his parents were into New Orleans jazz and brass band music and all of that, and he had a lot more of a jazz background. So he would show me a lot of jazz records that he was interested in, also some more modern stuff that I had never heard. That's the first time I heard about people like John Scofield or Larry Goldings, for example, and so much great stuff that he showed me. So he really opened up the jazz door for me, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. When did you start? Were you composing early on? Were you starting to write your own music, or when did that come into the picture?
Actually, yes. I never really thought about it, but I did start doing or composing my own stuff, because from the beginning I always loved. I had a big love for recording and doing studio stuff, and back then it was really minimalistic. I had like a Tascam Porta Studio,
Oh yeah.
and it was already the digital version,
Yeah.
but still, just one or two inputs, 8 tracks, and go for it. And I would record, myself on different instruments and try to come up with some. It was, I still have that device, and I took a deep dive into that hard drive a couple of years ago, and it's interesting because it was so chaotic. I never did a second take. If something went wrong, I just kept on playing.
That's
Who
great,
cares?
though. That's good.
But I always loved that kind of stuff. So I kind of, if you want, I'm not sure if you want to really call that composing, but I did start coming up with own little things or jams or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the first time I really started composing songs or tunes was, I think, when I started that duo with Jerome, the drummer. So we started composing songs together. Yeah,
that's great. Do you typically write at the instrument, or do you write away from the instrument, or does it vary?
It varies. Yeah, a lot of melodies actually kind of come to me when I'm as far away from the instrument as possible. So in the car or on the plane or wherever, in the grocery store, stuff like that happens. But I always try to. I've lost a couple ideas that I thought were good because I didn't immediately grab them and record them. So now, whenever I have an idea, I just grab my phone and try to sing a little voice memo into it.
Yeah.
And later on, try to make something out of it. But sometimes then I sit down at the instrument and something comes out. So it's really different. All the time. Yeah.
Were you studying? Did you study a lot of music theory? Did it just kind of come along with the learning to play at the same time? Were you dedicated to learning that as well?
At first, I wasn't really interested in it. The first 2 or 3 years when I started playing keys, after that Hammond organ moment, when I really started getting into it, first 2 or 3 years, I think I got a keyboard that my parents gifted to me, and I just did everything by ear. Try to play along with records, just try to find out what sounds good. So there was not too much theory involved. That actually started when I started taking these classical lessons, and then later on, a couple of people suggested that it might be a good idea to find a jazz piano teacher as well. So that was when I was around 11 years old, I think, and that got me started in music theory. And then I went on to study in Rotterdam at the conservatory for 2 years later on. And of course, I learned a lot of music theory there, but I have to admit that I already forgot a lot of it again. A lot of it's gone.
That's okay.
But I remember that. I think that's maybe the most important thing that I took away from that. One teacher said during my studies there, he said music theory should never tell you what to do. It should always only be there to explain what you're hearing, and that's I found that quite interesting. But
that's a wonderful way to explain that. No, I agree, because I think, and I'm not sure what it's like for you as a listener, but it's so easy to just sit and analyze something to death while you're listening to it, and kind of get a little bit too academic with the approach to it, whether it, instead of just being like, what is this doing to me emotionally?
Right. How does it feel? Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and I spent a lot of time playing music, and I'm kind of doing this more now. This is kind of doing more. Yeah. I'm scratching that creative itch, doing this, having conversations with amazing people like you.
Great.
But I know when I was playing a lot that the last thing I wanted to do when I wasn't playing was listen to music, because it was hard to sometimes turn that piece off where it's like where you want to think about it too much,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
when you compose, and I'm just thinking about, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, some of these amazing collaborations that you're continuing to get to do. When you compose for an ensemble like that, do you write specifically for the players that you're playing with, or do you have players in mind, or what they bring musically to the ensemble, or do you like to leave things open-ended so that when you bring it to everyone, they can kind of attach their thing to it when they are performing it?
Right. I think it's always a mixture between the both, because especially with the band that we have now with Steve Gadd and Will Lee and Bruno Miller, that's that's a cast of musical characters that makes it so easy to write, for me, because I can hear everything in my head already. And but of course I want to leave as much space as I can, because I know they're going to make it 1,000 times better than everything I could ever come up with. So I try to just prepare the framework and write something that I know is going to work with this band, a kind of groove that I know is going to feel great for this band, and then the rest just kind of magically happens the first time we try to play it together. So that's beautiful. But then other times you just compose something just because you have an idea without necessarily having a plan for that composition yet, not knowing who you're going to record it with, who you're going to play it with. So then sometimes things just remain very, very open for a long time until you really commit to recording them and until you know who you're going to do it with. So both kind of happens every once in a while. Yeah.
With that band, did you tour the tunes and then record them, or how or do, because I know some groups will record and then tour the tunes, or what was the order of operations with that?
Well, in this case, I had no idea that it was going to be possible to actually do a tour. So I was already blown away when these guys agreed to do a recording session with me. That was already incredible. And so nobody even dared to think of doing a tour with this band. But then, so I, first of all, we just played that stuff in the studio, and most of the recordings that ended up on the record are first or second takes, most of them.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that recording session will forever be etched in my mind, because it was such a breeze. And I always worry so much about how things are going to work out, and is this tune good enough, and all these kinds of thoughts that I think we all know. But the second these guys started walking into the studio and we started just playing and getting a sound and trying some of these tunes, it was really magical, and everything worked out so well. And the first time we played that stuff was actually for the studio album All That Matters. And we had so much fun that actually Steve was the one to propose a tour, which really blew me away. No, nobody had expected anything like that. I mean, it would have already been my biggest dream come true to just record with them and release an album with that lineup and these great people. But then to have him, we were sitting at lunch and having some Italian food, and he just looked at me and said, "Well, when's the record coming out?" And I said, "Yeah, maybe sometime next year. I don't have a date yet." And he just paused for a moment and looked me in the eyes and said, "We got to do a tour." So that was it.
Wow.
And then everything kind of took off from that moment. But we first studio in that case, and then we played them live and kind of extended some of them, and yeah.
there's so many wonderful videos of you all playing on YouTube, and I've certainly watched many of them many times and shared them with musician friends of mine. And
Thank you.
the thing that we all seem to notice, specifically around Steve, which is really funny to hear that you tell that about him proposing the tour, is that, I mean, I'm sure yourself included, we've all watched so many videos of Steve playing over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen him smile as much as he does when he's playing with you. And there is so much joy and on his face playing those tunes, playing with you. And what an amazing thing that has to feel to know that a hero for so many is enjoying playing with you as much as he does.
It's incredible. It's just the biggest compliment I could ever get. You know, any when we play, any smile from Steve is just I always get goosebumps. And
Sure.
He's such an incredibly, you know, loving and deep and wonderful human being as well. You know, it's the greatest pleasure
Sure.
to be on tour with these guys. Will as well, and Bruno, the
Yeah.
guitar player, he's one of my oldest friends as well. So it's such a camaraderie on stage and such a beautiful vibe, and we all just support each other. Everybody listens to each other, and it's it's kind of it's a dream come true. It's kind of a perfect environment for music to happen, and yeah, I'm very, very grateful that I get to experience that with these guys. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, musicians, I think we spend a lot of time in our head, you know, dealing with insecurity, dealing with all of the, all of those, that inner game that kind of happens, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to label it. When you were preparing to go into the studio with these legends, how did you maintain trust in yourself and just think, I'm going to go in and do my thing. I'm going to trust my preparation. I'm going to trust my compositions, and I'm just going to go in and be present in that. Did you ever have moments where you felt doubt going into that? I mean, how the hell did you deal with that, man? I don't know how I would have ever done it.
Yeah, I didn't really manage to deal with it. I had a lot of difficulty with these kind of thoughts because I had met. I mean, with Will, it was a little bit different because he had already been on the album that I did before that, Peace of Mind. So we had already become friends, and we knew each other pretty well. We talk all the time, and you know, that was a different connection. But with Steve, I had only met him briefly once on that WDR big band production that I did with him. That's where I met him in person for the first time. That's also the first time we played. But we didn't really have a lot of time to get to know each other during that production. So I wasn't really sure what to expect and how it was going to be. And of course, I always had these situations, writing the stuff and making the demos. And I was so nervous to even send out the email with all that music to the guys. And because I would constantly think, okay, let's look at what these guys look at the people these guys have played with, you know, and Steve, he was going to arrive to the studio from a tour with his band that had Larry Goldings. So my thought was always, man, he's probably going to walk out of the room after 5 minutes because, you know, he's just played with Larry, and then here's the little German dude who tries to make something happen, but. I really had a lot of these thoughts, and I always overthink a lot of stuff way too much. But on the other hand, I knew this was, you know, I have this one chance, and it's an incredible thing to have all these people in the same room for 2.5 days. That's not going to happen again. So I better just bring the best to the table that I can. So I really, I was very motivated, you know, but still, it was always a balance between that and all these dark thoughts, you know.
Sure. Yeah. I recently heard that the only people that don't deal with imposter syndrome are just the imposters
Imposters.
themselves.
That's right. Very good. I got to remember that.
Yeah, so
Spot on.
it's totally natural to feel that way. But man, what a beautiful, what a beautiful collaboration that you all did,
Yeah.
and I just love your playing on it, man. It just sounds
Thank you
so
so
good,
much.
and it just has such a wonderful balance of harmonic and melodic information and uh, beautiful improvising. But everything is, and hearing that you started out in playing drums, it's just also deeply rooted in groove. It's like
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
first and foremost. It just everything sits so well together, and
Right.
you can tell it's just this beautiful cohesive rhythmic thing going on with all of you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
for me always the main focus, whatever kind of music it is. If it has drums, I listen to the drums first. And if the drums
Yeah.
are not happening, that's it for me. It's
Yeah.
always focus number one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you've been playing for a long time, but I would imagine it feels that your career has progressed quickly as well. I mean, you've done a lot in a very short amount of time. How have you, if you could kind of qualify that or think about that pace, how have you maintained and handled that happening in your life and your career?
Well, uh, looking back, it really kind of flew by, like as if it just was a couple of minutes. Sometimes,
Yeah,
when I
sure.
think about it, but well, it didn't feel too fast or rushed or anything like that. So to me, it was never. I never had the feeling that it was progressing too fast for me, or I was behind what was happening, or anything like that. So I always felt kind of comfortable with it. I now um, start to feel that my energy. I really have to kind of save energy sometimes. When you're 20 or 22, you can go on and on and on and play pretty much every day of the year, and tour, and you know have not have enough sleep for weeks, and your body won't care. But now I mean, I'm still not even 30, but I do realize that I have to kind of save some energy every once in a while, and I can't do everything all the time, which I
Yeah.
want to do, but I can't. And I love touring. I love studio work, and I want to do as much and play as much great music as I can. But sometimes I need to learn to say no to things, and kind of handle my time a little bit better. So that's the kind of stuff that I've been trying to work on and learn over the past couple of years, and I'm still working on that. And it's probably a lifelong learning process. But yeah, no, other than that, it's been a great ride so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember talking with someone about that years ago, and having that, we were talking about saying yes to things, and that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, whether that's
Right.
sleep or
Mm-hmm.
relationships
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So yeah, it's so crucial that when you say yes to something, that you're making sure you think of everything you're saying no to, and making sure that that
That's right.
balance is there. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so I applaud that you're doing that, because yeah, it is a lifelong pursuit. I mean, I'm going to be 50 later this year, and I
Okay.
can tell you I'm still on that path of making sure that the balance is correct, and making sure I'm saying yes to the proper things that are
Right.
going to move my life forward. Yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
what is your, do you kind of have a criteria about the things, the projects that you say yes versus the things you say no to, or where are you with what you decide to move forward with collaborators or projects?
Well, I of course it's preferable to if it's good music that I love. That's
Sure.
that's the number one thing. But
Absolutely.
what's becoming even more important to me is whether I like the people that I'm going to do it with. I think
Yeah.
that's even more important. If the hang is great, and I'm going to have a great time with people that I really like, and friends, and then it's always going to be a very positive thing for me, even if it's a very intense project or takes a lot of time or a lot of work. No problem. If it's with good people, I'm interested.
Yeah.
That's priority number one.
And I agree with you. I mean, I agree 100%. And it's incredible how the hang can inform the experience on the bandstand,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
If it's an uncomfortable or a tense hang, it can show up in the music so
yeah.
easily.
It usually does. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I've dealt with that over the years, and I'm sure you have as well, that I find myself, I never want to play defensively on the bandstand, but there are moments where if it feels tense, it's
Yeah.
hard to get out of your head on those things.
Yeah, it really gets in the way of the music flowing, and that's yeah, that's not a great thing. So
Yeah.
it's always, yeah, as you said, always preferable to play with people that you really get along with
Yeah.
off stage as well. Yeah,
Yeah. I heard someone say one time that you should never play music with someone that you wouldn't ride in a car for 8 hours with.
exactly. That's absolutely what it is. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
So as we're recording this, we're already, I can't believe it, already finishing up the month of January in
that's
2026. It's
crazy. Yeah,
amazing. I know you've had a you had a busy 25, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have on the horizon for this year and beyond? What are you working on, and who are you working with?
Well, the next thing that's going to happen is a little tour that I'm doing with a fantastic bass player and a friend of mine, Thomas Stiga. He is. We've been playing in Wolfgang Hafner's trio, a fantastic German drummer,
Yeah.
for many years. And Thomas, he released his first solo album, I think 2 years ago or a year ago. I'm not quite sure. And it's incredible music, really interesting, really unique, and beautiful harmonies, beautiful melodies, very very special kind of sound that he's created. And in a few days we're gonna start rehearsing and touring Germany with his group for the first time, which is beautiful, and I'm very very happy to be a part of that. And then we're actually doing a tour with Wolfgang, with that trio. So with Thomas on bass, Wolfgang on drums, and that's going to be a tour throughout Germany as well. Wolfgang just celebrated his 50th stage anniversary, pretty much, and so we're celebrating that on that tour with big kind of mixture of music from his whole career, which is beautiful because he has such a huge catalog of great
Yeah.
music, great compositions, and yeah, that's going to be really interesting. And that's also a group that one of these groups that are most fun to me to make music with, because they're
Yeah.
really close friends, and it really feels like we really found each other. It's really like a unit. It's sometimes it feels like it's one person playing because we're all breathing together, and it's really an incredible feeling playing with these guys. And then combined with the music that Wolfgang writes, it's just such a special treat to be able to experience that. So that's
Yeah.
coming up, and then I'm going to be playing at a festival in March, and also in Germany, in Baden-Baden, a beautiful town in the south of Germany, and it's a great jazz festival organized by a friend of mine, Mark Marshall. He's a singer from that area, and he has managed to get in touch with Nathan East over the past couple of years. So Nathan is now, for the third time, I think, artist in residence at that festival, and we're going to
Oh,
play with him
wow.
for 3 days, which is beautiful. Looking forward to that. Yeah, and then all
Man,
kinds of cool projects spread over the year. Some
yeah.
other things that I can't talk about yet, but we're obviously working on more dates for the band with Steve and Will and Bruno.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to be touring a little more with that.
Yeah. Wow. What a fun calendar already
Yeah.
for the year. So many exciting things,
Totally.
and getting to play with such legendary bass players. I mean, wow, that's amazing, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And especially Will and Nathan. I think that's, yeah. If anybody would ask me about my favorite bass players, these two would pop up in the top three instantly.
I mean, yeah, I just think about the East Coast versus West Coast of the U.S.
Right.
The quantity of albums that those
It's
iconic albums that
unbelievable.
those guys have played on.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And you haven't played with Nathan before. This will be the first time you played with him.
No, the third time actually. I was
Oh,
there
so-
also the
okay,
last two
you-
times at that festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talk about someone that plays with just immense joy. I mean,
Oh,
just
yeah.
to see.
Yes.
I mean, he.
Wow.
I just love players that they play every song like it may be the last one that they ever get to
Absolutely.
play, and I
Yes.
feel that with him, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. I'm curious about leading your own project for a period of time, and then stepping into a collaborative role, maybe with someone else's name on a project. Do you approach those differently? Do you find that you step into those projects as a better collaborator, having led your own project before that? How does that work?
I think so. Yeah, I think both worlds kind of inspire each other, and
Yeah.
if you're a sideman, try to be the sideman that you would want in your band, and if you're a
Absolutely.
band leader, try to be the band leader you would want if you were a sideman. So
Yeah.
that's the way I try to approach it. I'm sure I mess up every once in a while, but that's the way I think about it, and I'm so inspired by all the people I work with, pretty much. Thomas, Wolfgang, Will, Steve, Bruno, all these guys. Most of them have their own project, and they also do a lot of sideman work, and they are perfect in every role, and I can just learn from them all the time, and especially Wolfgang, who I've been playing with for, I think, 9 or 10 years now. He's the perfect example of a really good and generous and open band leader. He has a really clear idea of what he wants to do, both musically and also about the way he wants to do things and approach things. And on the other hand, he just gives us so much freedom, and he just knows exactly how to find the right balance between that. So I've been really lucky to work with people that have just pretty much showed me how to do it. So I try to just recreate what I've learned.
Yeah. I think it's and I think people that can navigate both of those landscapes is really important. And
Right.
knowing how to, especially if it's your own project, how to communicate clearly what you are looking for, the vision of the tune, but then knowing how to step back and stay out of the way and let those people do their thing.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful balancing act when you can.
Yeah,
when you
it's
can
really
do
a fine
both
line
those.
sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another factor that plays into that is also in my case now, which is it's a pretty crazy situation, but I have my own band that features Steve Gadd and Will Lee right there, which is it's insane in a way.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard for me sometimes, because I think I can't really tell these guys what to do. And then again, I never have to, because they're
Right.
going to do the right thing anyway. But it's sometimes a little bit intimidating, thinking about your role as a band leader with these guys in a band that have 5 times or a couple of times the experience and the musical knowledge that you have. So it's an interesting situation. But yeah, as I said, it just everything works fine by itself. I don't have to do anything in that band. I just have to.
I applaud you, because I would imagine I would fight the urge to second guess myself a lot in a situation like that. And
Same here.
you just
Same here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah, but I mean, it says a lot about you, your ability levels, both as a collaborator and as a musician, that these heavy hitters, these iconic people, they could play with anyone and they want to play with you. So that's it's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And to see the kind of approach and the spirit that Steve and Will bring to a session or a tour. I remember one situation where we were rehearsing for the first tour. So first time getting together and playing live, pretty much without recording, just getting ready for the first show. Not having seen each other for a while, not having played the tunes since the studio recording, which was a year before that. So we were just getting into it and running some of these tunes. And I remember on one song, I forgot about the solo form. I didn't really know what, how many choruses or whatever until we went to a different section. So I stopped and I said, sorry guys, I think I messed up. How should we do it? So I asked the guys what they thought we should do. And then Steve just looked at me and said, hey man, we're working for you. And that was a crazy moment. But they just walk into any kind of situation with the goal of trying to come up with the best possible solution for everybody. And that is just incredibly beautiful. Also, the way they came into the studio, Steve he had been studying the sheet music and the demos and everything. He was so, Will as well. They were so prepared and they had so much respect for all of that. And that's just so beautiful to see after a career like that and a life like that, to still be so respectful, even towards an unknown guy, that you're working with for the first or second time somewhere in Germany. That really, it moved me personally, and it also really inspired me, because I think, what a goal to be like that at that age after that career. That's beautiful. That's really powerful.
That's powerful. Yeah. And honoring commitment and just, it's always such a beautiful act to be prepared, to show up and very say, important. Hey, I spent the time learning your material. Yeah. I think, and we've all been there. We've all been worked with people that show up unprepared, and it's kind of a disrespectful thing to do to others. If you,
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's so beautiful that they took the time to show up to
that's amazing.
honor you and honor your material. Yeah. Well, Simon, I've had such a wonderful time hanging with you today and talking, and I am so inspired and excited about what is to come with this incredible career that you have going on. I thank you so much for what you've done so far, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do next.
Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, best of luck, and thanks for everything.
Thank you, man. Hope to talk soon. It'll be wonderful.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwidth Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.